The tragedy struck about 50 years ago, November 10th, 1975.
An exhibition underway through December 1st at the Milwaukee School of Engineering's Grohmann Museum commemorates tomorrow's 50th anniversary of the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. The legend lives on 50 years later, includes photographs, models, memorabilia, as well as paintings commissioned by the ship's namesake, the late Northwestern Mutual President and Chairman Edmund Fitzgerald, who came from a long line of sea captains. Museum director and curator James Kieselburn says the Fitz was not only the biggest and fastest, but also the most luxurious ore freighter on the Great Lakes at the time of its launch.
You know, they had a private suite on the vessel that Mr. and Mrs. Fitzgerald would use. They would also offer that. It was available to their friends and colleagues and associates, and folks could book passage on the ship. It had a penthouse apartment in it, and it was just beautiful. I mean, as far as appointments go in 1957, luxury all the way.
Eight of the 29 men lost that November 10th night on Lake Superior were from Wisconsin, including Milwaukeean Oliver Buck Champeau. A half-century later, Champeau's daughter continues to honor his memory with photos and artwork at her Waukesha County home, by attending annual memorial services, and, as I learned in our Sunday morning spotlight, by sharing her story with a New York Times best-selling author.
So, hello there.
I bought this a week ago.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Among the 160 people who packed Boswell Book Company last month to hear from author John Bacon.
But it's not nearly as scary as the waves on the Great Lakes. And make it out too.
Lily.
And have him sign a copy of his new book, Gales of November, the untold story of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
We just found out that we hit number 6 on the New York Times bestseller list.
Was someone whose name appears in the book.
Young lady.
How are you? Oh, it's good to see you.
An only child, a daddy's girl, grateful for placing her trust in an award-winning journalist and author.
This is my story. It's my dad's story.
Exactly.
Who shared her family's story of heartbreak and resilience.
But you know what you did? You told the truth.
Compassionately.
You told the truth.
And correctly. For Deborah Champeau, life took a sudden and tragic turn 50 years ago when her name was called over the loudspeaker at Milwaukee Pius XI High School.
Deborah Champeau, come to the office.
Deborah Champeau, come to the office. And the only message I had is your mother called. You need to go home now.
An air and sea search is continuing for possible survivors of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
The next day, when the Coast Guard announced the chances of finding any survivors were, quote, pretty hopeless, Deborah ran to a church where she taught catechism to seek comfort, guidance, and answers from a priest.
I was just distraught. Why? Can you explain to me how so violently my dad was taken? I don't understand. I can't find the faith in me to be in a good place with this. Of course I've got...
Nicknamed Buck, 41-year-old Oliver Champeau was a career cargo ship mariner who, despite long trips to distant ports, maintained close family ties.
Go out to dinner and, just talk about, my grades, and it was all focused on me, not me asking him questions about where were you or how was that trip.
The Fitzgerald's final fateful voyage was in fact Champeau's first trip aboard this famous freighter. I also see one of your messages written on your t-shirt. Gone but not forgotten.
Never forgotten. And that's been my goal from never forgotten. One poem that I wrote when I was 17 after all this happened, and it was put in the Milwaukee Journal, was, I want my dad remembered. I don't want him to be forgotten. And that's why I'm here. I don't want him forgotten, and I want him remembered. He was a good man and a good father, and I loved him, and I miss him today, 50 years later. Where's the closure? I don't have it.
I cared about them. I cared about the stories they were telling me, the people they're talking about.
For his book, John Bacon interviewed Deb and other surviving family members, plus former crew members, to share the untold human toll of the disaster.
So these are the stories that will break your heart, but also reminds us these are human beings. It's not a number. It's not just 29. These people had lives attached.
Frederick J. Beecher, Porter.
Bacon will join Deborah and others tomorrow for a memorial service at Whitefish Point. The Cape, located at the northeastern tip of Michigan's UP, is 17 miles from where the mighty Fitz and its crew lie at the bottom of the Big Great Sea, or Gitchagumi, the Ojibwe name for Lake Superior, popularized in Gordon Lightfoot's haunting ballad, The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. You were only a year out of high school when Gordon Lightfoot's song was released. How did that affect you when you heard it on the radio?
I couldn't listen to it. It was eerie to me.
However, in the years before his death in 2023, Lightfoot had forged a friendship with Deborah and other families. He sent them letters, signed artwork, attended memorial services, supported their efforts to protect the wreckage site, and advocated for improved maritime safety.
I kind of grew to really love Gordon Lightfoot, and then eventually, I would say maybe 2 years down the line, listened to it, and then kind of appreciated what he's saying from his heart.
This is our last chance to
do it.
To tell it.
Right.
Champeau also appreciates the work Bacon has done, humanizing this oft-told story. Like the final words radioed from the ship's captain that stormy night, now, 50 years later, the families indeed are holding their own.
That is their motto. We are holding our own. Thank you for trusting me. And I'm glad you feel good about it. That means everything to me.
You know it.
I'll sleep well tonight.
Forever.
Amen. Thanks, Deb.
You're welcome.